This week on Women Who Rise, I'm joined by Margot Tache, certified holistic nutritionist, wellness speaker, and a powerful voice on the connection between health, energy, leadership, and performance. Margot's work challenges the way we think about success, especially for women who are building careers, families, teams, and lives while quietly running on empty. We talk about why wellness is not soft, why small habits can change your identity, how sleep and stress impact the way we lead, and what it really means to protect your energy like your most valuable asset. If you've ever felt like you're doing all the right things but still feel exhausted, this conversation will meet you exactly where you are and help you rise from a healthier place. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Women Who Rise. I'm your host, Heather Mansy. Today, I'm joined by Margot Tache, a certified holistic nutritionist, certified nutritional practitioner, and wellness speaker based in Vancouver, British Columbia. Margot has spent more than a decade teaching companies, schools, teams, and families how food, stress, sleep, and recovery shape the way we perform, lead, parent, and live. Her work goes far beyond nutrition tips. She helps people understand their bodies, protect their energy, create sustainable habits, and stop treating wellness like an afterthought. I'm so excited for this conversation because Margot brings a powerful perspective on what it really means to rise, not by running on empty, but by building the health, clarity, and resilience to show up fully in every part of life. Thank you so much for joining us, Margot.
Hi, thank you, Heather. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're so excited to have you today. Let's jump right into some questions. So, growing up in Mexico City before building your life and wellness practice in Vancouver, what early experience first made you aware of the connection between food, energy, family, and how people show up in the world?
Well, for me, it was a very personal experience because I had endometriosis when I was 18 years old. I had surgery. I never understood the importance of nutrition, but more than that, the relationship that I had with my body. Sadly, it wasn't the best or the healthiest until I learned holistic nutrition many years after. I understood the importance of having a healthy relationship with your body and with food and seeing food much more than just diet and food just to survive, it's medicine, it heals, it's just so much, it's information for our bodies. And when I was trying to get pregnant, we thought I had endometriosis for a second time. That's when it clicked. I knew I needed to make a change. And that's when I decided that I needed to look after myself. And not only with food, but also with lifestyle.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. And I really love some of the kind of key wisdom that you just dropped right now, because you mentioned food as, not just health and not just as care, but in fact, and not just nutrition, but in fact, it's medicine. You specifically mentioned, and it's information for your body. Can you talk a little bit about food as medicine or information?
Yes, absolutely. So every food has different nutrients. So everything, and I tell my kids this is very funny because everyone labels food, right? The junk food, there's no junk food. Everything is food. Everything's healthy. Even candies, even the ice cream. You just need to learn when to eat it, how much to eat it. Just listen to your body. So every food has a different nutrients. There's phytonutrients, and macronutrients, micronutrients, and that is information for your body to know, okay, this I'm going to use as an antioxidant. I'm going to use this as energy. I'm going to use this to build muscle, to build blocks for your frame and for your brain and for your memory. So everything that we eat how we eat is so important, because it's not only that you eat it, it's paying attention how you're eating it, being present, being mindful, breathing, enjoying food, the relationship, that connection that you give to food and to your body. That is how your body is going to react to every food.
This is so interesting. And I don't think, this kind of harkens back to a book I read a really long time ago. It had kind of a following back in the day. It was called The Celestine Prophecy. And it was really interesting because in that book, it's a fictional book, but in the character learns how to really appreciate a connection with food and actually begins to look at it as a very different experience. I mean, obviously, we know the experience of taste. We understand that there can be endorphins or joy or whatever. I think spicy food, in fact, is really good at creating endorphins. And I'm from New Mexico, so I can't really go a week without spicy food. I love it. But it's just one of those things that, maybe we think about the immediate enjoyment of it. But I think in that book and for that character, and it makes me think of what you just said, is they're talking about slowing down and really, like you just described it, having like a moment with your food, because life is so busy these days. It's kind of chaotic. A lot of people are multitasking constantly, and you can, rush through a meal. But the thing is, that can actually have even digestive consequences. I mean, I'm learning as an older female that if I'm not careful how I eat and when I eat certain things, my body can't take in the protein from it. If I'm constantly in a hectic hurry, my body cannot actually process the protein I just ate, and it will maybe just rush it through my digestive system because I'm literally rushing around all day. So there's something to be said, and this is very new. I just learned this. There's something to be said for what you just mentioned. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I feel like it's quite endemic to our westernized society in Europe and in America and other westernized nations, that we're running around like crazy these days. How is this impacting our health, our food choices, and even like how we digest or how we are able to take in food? And what is the prescription for that? Like, how do we fix it?
So it's so interesting, and thank you for asking this, because I always mention in my talks, we are professionals, we are parents, we are husbands, wives, we are always on the go. And for me to ask to lower stress or to avoid stress is impossible. Let's be honest, we are humans. There's stress around us. We live in 2026. And if you are not stressed, probably you live in a cave somewhere. So it's not about avoiding the stress. It's how to connect with your body and sending the proper signals to your body. So when we are, for example, remember many years ago how the cavemans, they were surviving, they were fighting. That's a fight or flight response. Imagine you see a lion in the middle of the forest, and your body response is magical, is so smart, because you have to survive. So either you fight the lion or you run away from the lion.
Yes.
Sadly, our body doesn't differentiate the lion versus we are stressed because of work, kids, lifestyle, rushing, whatever. And
Yes.
our fight or flight response is exactly the same. So when our ancestors were running from lions, they didn't care. Our body, the body didn't care if they were having babies, if they were healing. You leave everything behind. All the energy is going to your extremities for you to be able to fight or to run. So there's no digestion when it happens, when you're running. So when we are in chronic stress, when you're waking up in the morning, drinking your morning coffee on an empty stomach, that raises cortisol. You're rushing the kids out of school. You're rushing into phone calls, into emails. You're on your screen 20 hours a day. That cortisol never comes down. We are not allowing our body to slow down, to, balance. High cortisol is necessary in the morning for us to get up and get going. But also we don't know how to slow down, to calm our nervous system for us to be able to digest, to heal, to process things. So when we are eating in a rush, all the energy again, is in our extremities. We are in a fight or flight response. There's no energy in our gut, in our digestive system. There's no hydrochloric acid, the acid that breaks down the food in our stomach. And that is why we have heartburn. And that is why we feel bloated and we have gas, constipation. We are not digesting the food. And I always say this, it doesn't matter if you're eating kale or carrots on their own, or you're eating a donut on their own. It's exactly the same. You are not digesting either or. You have to slow down.
Wow.
You have to breathe. You have to chew your food 32 times. You have to be aware. You have to tell your brain and your body that it's time to eat, that it's time to digest, that it's time to slow down. Otherwise, there's nothing in the system that you can do, because we like, right now we like easy hacks. Everything has to
Yes.
be easy. Everything has to be fixed. Oh, quick fix. The multivitamin, the supplement, the electrolyte, the this and that.
Yeah.
There's no easy hacks to digest your food. There's no easy hacks to absorb your food. If you don't have a healthy gut, if you don't have a proper digestive system, there's no absorption. There's no digestion. There's inflammation. Sadly, there's chronic inflammation, and it can lead to different disorders and diseases.
Yes, and so much good stuff there. And full disclosure, I'm a bit of a biohacker. I find at my age, it's like my new hobby, because I understand that certain diseases and conditions, a whole list of them, are coming for me as aging. The condition of aging is happening, and some of them are they're already knocking at my door, and I can look at my mother and her mother and my great aunts and all those people and see, Alzheimer's and other things, that I watch them deal with. And so for me, this is, the most serious. I'll say it's like a hobby, but honestly, it's one of my number one jobs right now, to find a way to optimize my health going forward. And I think we're so spoiled by this like highly tuned machine when we're younger. But as you age, that machine, and I think especially for women in their 40s and 50s, as you are aging, that machine is no longer capable to make up for, or even try to make up for, whatever, rushing around and eating or drinking or whatever you're doing that is not optimal for your health. And it will show up much more evidently as you get older. And we have to start to pay attention to that. Can you talk a little bit around, first, I understand if you're 20 and you're eating terrible and things like that, like you described your own self, that, you had some health conditions and you had to began this journey of learning your body. Even in your 20s or whatever, if you're going to really, really go off the deep end with your food choices and exercise and all of that, and you're not doing any of it in a way that benefits the body, even then your body is going to create conditions or have problems. But as you go through each new decade, I think that is a much stronger effect. Can you talk a little bit about what about, the body as a machine in the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, and how we need to be thinking at any of those ages with respect to our nutrition and caring for ourselves?
Yeah, of course. So it's so funny because when we're in our 20s, like you mentioned, we don't care about what we're eating. We're drinking, we're partying, we're not sleeping, and we are thriving. Like we don't even feel one needle. And the problem is not when we are 20 and we're doing all those things. The problem is after, when we turn 40. Our body is like CRA, like our tax. I don't know how you call it in the States, but like they charge
IRS.
you every single
The IRS.
RIS.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't forget about you. Like, you have the bills they're counting. In your 20s, you did this, you ate like this, you didn't sleep, you were drinking. That doesn't mean that, I just did amazing and my body did amazing through my 20s. The problem is when we turn 40 and 50 and we have to pay the tax when we were 20 and 30. And right now, right? Like when we're 40s and 50s.
Yes.
So It's very important to be aware of your body, regardless how old you are, regardless of your metabolism, regardless of if I eat this, it doesn't matter because I don't gain weight. Well, the end result is not only the weight. The end result is not only how I look. It's also how I feel. What am I putting in my body? Again, what information I'm giving to my body for me to be at my best. And that means when I'm 20, 30, 40, 50. So our body changes, obviously. The older we get, it gets lower, our hormones change, our cortisol levels, they rise when we are in our 40s, perimenopause, menopause, our cortisol is going up. All the hormones are going crazy, they're imbalance. Our estrogen is just going up and down, and progesterone is going down. And we have to support our body through those changes. But the important thing is we have genetic predispositions, like you were saying, your aunt, your mom, all your family, we have genetic predisposition. That is information in our cells. And depending on our behavior, it's our responsibility either to keep the switch off or turn it on, depending on our habits, like our sleep, if we exercise, if we eat properly, if we hydrate properly, if we're drinking alcohol, if we are eating inflammatory foods, that is going to turn on the switch of those genetic predispositions. So it's a big responsibility if you think about that like that. And here's like a personal story. Both of my siblings in Mexico, they have MS, multiple sclerosis. My dad has arthritis. So my family, and I had endometriosis. So obviously my family has a super huge genetic predisposition on autoimmune diseases. It's up to me to decide what are the actions I'm going to take in order to keep that switch off or that it can turn it on. So we have to take into consideration that our bodies are changing, our hormones are changing, but everything that we do matters, even the tiny little choices that we make. And that is why I teach how to create healthy habits. I don't teach you diets. I don't teach you how to lose weight. I don't teach you, like how to change completely. I teach how to create habits, healthy habits for you to have the tools in how to become yourself without worrying about diseases, inflammation, body changes, etc.
I love that. And just so many things there, talking about, and there's a couple things that I want to break down from that. So, one, you talked about menopause and the fact that, estrogen is not going in one direction or the other. In fact, it's kind of all over the board. We know there's perimenopause. Women are really just now kind of being educated, I think, in a better way. I thought I was educated or tried to be educated most of my life. And what I hear and understand now about menopause and perimenopause. And, perimenopause is 10 years prior to menopause itself. Menopause itself is about 10 years. And then postmenopause, again, is up to 10 years. And, I want to discuss a little bit about your thoughts around HRT. And I know, right, you're not a medical internist for the purpose of this discussion. But there is a lot of like a new understanding, sort of a revelation in the medical world about what they thought was a very damaging idea with HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy, and what they now understand about the potential that it could help women, retain bone mass, and that in fact the things that they previously thought were dangerous were due to some deeply flawed, studies and that have been widely misunderstood at the time. And now for the last 20 years, they understand this data much better, and they understand what is happening in the body much better. Can you talk a little bit around just specific to, because there's a lot of professional women that are in, say, 35 to 65 years old, and especially I would say 35 to 55, where they can benefit from maybe learning, even from a nutritional perspective, how to protect their body to be able to either go through that transition more easily, or in fact to perhaps do something medically or supplement or whatever otherwise to assist their body as it goes through that transition. What are your thoughts?
Yes. So like you said, perimenopause, menopause is a huge journey. Is almost half of our lives really going through changes. And then we ask ourselves, why nobody understands us? Well, we don't even understand ourselves. Our hormones are going crazy. And as much as it could be challenging, again, if you support your body properly, you can actually go through the ride peacefully without many bumps. Again, estrogen is going crazy. Sometimes we have our period regular, sometimes we have heavier periods and irregular, and we don't even know what's happening in our body. Our cortisol levels are high, so there's a belly fat going instead of like in the hips, like everything. Our body is changing physically and internally and mentally. So what I have to say, you're mentioning about HRT. I don't disagree. I agree with it. Again, I'm not a naturopath, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not intended to recommend anything whatsoever. But what I have to say is everyone is a different person. We are all individuals. And what might work for some, it might not for some others. So it's very important to seek advice from your medical doctor, naturopath, or whoever you trust for them to do the right test before taking anything. You have to test your hormones. You have to have like a blood test. You have to know where you're standing. There's no way for you to move forward if you don't know where you're standing right now. That's very, very important to say. Also, as a nutritional perspective, there's many things we can do. Again, keeping inflammation low, keeping cortisol low. It's very important to focus on protein. I know it's a very huge right now, protein. And yes, it's very important because that's our building blocks. And as we age, we are losing muscle by the year. So it's very important that we keep that muscle up. As women, we tend to have more osteoporosis than men. So it's very important to break those muscles, to build them, and to have a nutritious, like a whole foods nutrition meals. For example, high in calcium, and that can be leafy greens, high in magnesium. You can have the protein, but also high fiber. You have to keep your gut healthy. We underestimate the power of the gut and fiber. But if we don't have a healthy gut, we cannot have a healthy mind. 90% of our serotonin, which is the happy neurotransmitter, is secreted in the gut. It cannot be secreted if you have an inflammatory gut. So if you are not digesting your food, if you're not absorbing your food, there's no neurotransmitters being released in the gut, like dopamine, serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitters. And that is why there's so much depression in perimenopause and menopause. It's very important to, with those changes, focus on the healthy gut with probiotics, fiber, eating a variety of fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, different colors. That is going to help a lot. Focus on lowering the inflammatory foods, like all the sweets and the carbs, because that is going to crave more carbs, crave more sugar, and sugar is just going to make more inflammation. And just having, I say about this in every single talk, it takes a village. Having a village. I know it's not nutrition. I know it's not HRT, but having a village is one of the most important things you can do as a woman, as a human. You need people to lift you up. You need people that understands you, that sees the best of you, that supports you, that helps you, that laughs with you. It's so, so important to not go through these times by yourself, because there's a lot of depression again, there's a lot of anxiety going, and you need support from yourself with nutrition, but also from a community.
That is so fantastic. And I really love that you touched on that because although we are more connected than ever before due to the web, due to social media especially, it can be actually extremely isolating. There is the danger of constant comparison. Your mind will constantly draw the comparison. This person's supposedly perfect life over here in these pictures versus me, and I'm here in my sweats, right? Feeling bad or tired or something, or have a cold or whatever. And so we're living in a false reality that's created through social media. And what's interesting about all that is that it in fact causes even a worse kind of spiral. And even just, I think, that work of the mind to sort of make all those comparisons and make all those decisions. Should I watch this video? Should I not? Should I say hi to this person or not? Should I like their picture or put the love, thing? It's so exhausting, I think, for the mind, and it is not beneficial. It's largely not beneficial. It's not the same thing as just the normal pace of like a regular conversation in person, having a lunch or a coffee with a friend or something like that. Walking in a park, interacting with grandkids or whatever. Those things I think are going to be quite a bit more like food for the system in a way, like you were saying, than this other kind of internet focused life. And I know there's a ton of loneliness. And when I think about, you mentioned, as people are, as women are getting older, as they're going through these big hormonal shifts in their life, it is often misunderstood or minimized, because I think women, if there's anyone listening who's ever been pregnant, you can certainly recognize that your hormones can cause massive shifts in how you think and behave and feel and eat and crave and do, even sleep or whatever, because it's absolutely incredible. These are master controllers. And so when they're shifting, we are shifting. Our personality can be shifting. Like you said, there's a lot of depression that can be happening, and even stress due to cortisol going up and things like that. Uh, I was curious when you said, eat a rainbow, really, of like fruits and vegetables, watch out for sweets and things like that, because we know depression increases in this age group, especially in women who are passing through any of the menopause transitions. I noticed that societally, I think we try to fix this by grabbing a glass of, Chardonnay, right? Like Chardonnay all day or whatever. Can you talk about, this seems to be like the medication of choice, of like having a little pick me up or feeling better or something like that, for women. And I know the alcohol industry is very keen on continuing this message. They've done the largest marketing push that we've researched that has ever occurred for the beverage industry, is specifically targeted at women of certain ages in midlife and beyond in the last 20 to 25 years. It is the largest ad push that, the industry has ever done. And I think it's really kind of worked. If I look at anyone in my age group, this really is seen as a balm for everything that is not working, in these, high stress occupations. Life is hard, hormones are changing. But can you talk about, is it actually helpful or is it possibly detrimental to the body, like from a holistic standpoint?
Let's just say, remember when I said that I tell my kids that everything is healthy, but you have to know when, how much, and how? That's exactly the same with alcohol. So obviously, alcohol is not healthy. I think since the pandemic, like it went huge, drinking
Yes.
wine and self-care, I saw my Instagram and everyone was just like self-care. I need some time for myself and drinking wine. Let's just think about it for 1 second. Is that actually self-care? Are you caring for what does self-care mean actually? Is that caring for yourself? Is that making you better? I don't think so. Alcohol is going to have a huge effect in your mind, in your brain. So like for focus, for memory, for decision making. So if you compare those results to, am I caring for myself? Well, you're not really caring for yourself. Is it okay to go out and drink wine with some friends once in a while? Yes, of course, it's fine. Like you should, and you should enjoy, but also to drink it every day or a couple of times a week, just for self-care or because there's no other way to feel better because you're going through depression, anxiety, hormonal changes. Absolutely not. It's not helping your hormones. It's not helping your body. It's not helping your brain. Actually, that can lead to more depression, to more anxiety, because again, you're dealing with your brain, with the decision making, the focus, the memory. So if you want to take care of yourself, what about you take time off? You go for a hike, you go in nature, do things that are actually going to improve your body, to improve the feeling, to improve your brain. Just going in nature. It's funny because yesterday I did a hike with my husband. We climbed a mountain here in BC, in Squamish. It's 7.5 kilometers. And he was telling me, well, even if I don't feel it, being in nature, it has an improvement, right? Like it has a benefit. I said, absolutely. You don't even have to be aware. I mean, it would be amazing to be aware while you're doing it, but you don't even have to be aware of the benefits that has being around water, trees, clean air. Is just instant. We are energy. And the ions from the water, from the trees, that has a huge impact in our brain, in our mood, in our neurotransmitters, in how we feel, how we think, how we focus. Our creativity improves. So let's talk about this again. Alcohol is not the greatest. It's not self-care. It's okay to drink it once in a while with friends and enjoy it. Yes. Is it the result or the answer for your feeling of hormonal changes, depression? No, it's not. There's other ways that you can improve, that you can support your body through those changes.
Fantastic. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about, you had mentioned earlier about the importance of sleep, that, sleep as well is incredibly important. Food is, first of all, food is information for you. You talked a lot about the on and off switch of those, genetic predispositions that might exist in your family, that it's really your choice and your job to, decide if you want to switch those things on or off, and to care for the body in a way that is not switching them on or is lessening that. And you mentioned sleep. Can you talk a little bit about sleep as, medicine itself, what it is capable of doing? Why is it so important? A lot of people, consider it a badge of honor to sleep very little and work a lot, to be a very, very busy multitasking person, to, live so many lives, in one person, a mom, a job, a career, hobbies, working out, all the things. And oh, who cares if I sleep 4 or 5 hours a night? That's no big deal. And you also, I think, related to like the IRS, we were saying the tax authority and the fact that those taxes will eventually be owed. What does sleep do in terms of a negative tax, actually, that you may end up owing? So how and why should we care about sleep? What is it helping us with at all? And then what will happen down the line if we're not doing it?
Yes, absolutely. Sleep is so underrated because we went through our 20s again without no sleep and we were fine. We were thriving. We were still going to school and doing exams and working and doing everything. But right now, we have to understand that sleep is when we repair. It's like you throwing out the garbage. Once a week, just get the garbage out, right? So that's the same with the body. Every night, your body goes into rest. Your body is like organizing your brain, your memories, your everything that you learn from the day, and your body is just repairing. And if we don't allow the proper time to repair and to heal, there's no healing, there's no repairing. You cannot start fresh if you don't allow your body to end. We're going, and you're mentioning like the busy parent, the busy professional, and we believe that if we work 20 hours a day, we are so productive. Let me ask you, if you actually work 20 hours a day, how many hours you are actually working in that 20 hours? How many hours you're being productive and doing and getting things done? I assure you that is not more than 6 hours. I can assure you that because our brain cannot give you that much. And less if you are not allowing it to rest, to heal, to recharge, So it's very important for us to allow sleep at least 8 hours of sleep, no less than 6 hours. There's a lot of research showing how less than 6 hours of sleep a day, if you don't sleep properly for 1 week, your blood sugar changes so much. You become diabetic in 1 week for sleeping less than 6 hours. Why is that? Our body needs energy, but you cannot have energy if you're not, again, you're not repairing, you're not healing. So you wake up, what do? First thing in the morning, morning coffee. Otherwise, you cannot survive. And then you get a crash and you need to eat something. So the first thing, you're rushing, you go to a drive-through or a muffin or a croissant or whatever's on your way. And that's sugar, that's simple carbohydrates. So that raises your blood sugar again. And you have a push and a high, and then you do things, but then a few hours later, a huge crash. And that's what's happening to us every single day, the entire day.
Yes.
Up and crash, up and crash, up and crash. We are not thinking properly. We are not focusing in what we're doing. So we are not being productive, really. We are not making proper decisions. We are not having a proper memory, and we're not allowing our body and our brain to have memory. So we are not working properly or productively or smart. We have to allow our body to rest, to just heal, to recharge, to be ready for the next day. Because when we sleep properly, everyone will see this right away. Once you start sleeping 8 hours a day, in the morning, you won't need your morning coffee. You can drink water. You can eat a protein, high protein breakfast. You'll see your energy shift. You'll see how productive it looks. Like, you don't have to be on your computer. You actually can make better decisions. You can have better relationships. When we don't sleep properly, we become Shreks. We are cranky. We're in a bad mood. We don't even know what's happening to us. No, we cannot relate to clients, to family, to kids. So it's very, very crucial that we focus on sleep. We prioritize sleep before anything and anything, because it's a cycle. We don't sleep. We don't eat properly. We don't eat properly. We don't have energy. We need another coffee. We don't exercise because we don't have energy. So, we are not taking care of ourselves. If one of these fundamentals or functions, we don't work from it, so nothing else works after that.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, so good. First of all, absolutely love the word Shreks, because yes, we become these grouchy, like cartoon character versions of ourselves. But this is true. We don't realize how emotionally destabilized we become if we don't have a nap. And anytime I think about this, I simply think about the analogy of a toddler. The same thing with sugar. I mean, how does a toddler behave when they've just had a piece of cake? They're running around like, they've got 15 times the energy and just no sense, right? And then they kind of hit a wall and then they're crashed out completely. They're grumpy. It's a nightmare. And then the other thing is, when a toddler goes and takes a nap, like, they could be a complete mess. They become, extremely tired halfway through the day. Whenever I would, put my boys to go take a nap, I would call it fresh kid. When they would wake up 2 hours later, it was like a completely different human being. They were like amazing. They were so sweet and cheerful and amazing to be around. And we don't realize that, we're still just biological beings. We might be, 20, 30, 40 years old. But the fact is, I think we are the toddler that needs a nap. We are still the person that, we are in fact behaving strangely and acting up. And like you said, it affects our memory and everything else, if we're not able to get adequate rest. And one thing you said about that morning coffee, you talked about coffee on an empty stomach. And my thought was, well, I don't think it's coffee. I think it's a milkshake, because Starbucks, I see people with Starbucks, every morning at my company, all over the world. Like, all I have to do is run an errand in the morning. Every single person is walking around with some plastic thing and it's got whipped cream on top. It looks like a dessert. I don't think it's coffee. And coffee itself is a stimulant that we can argue about. Does that make sense or not? You just made the point that you don't really need a stimulant if you actually had adequate rest because you will be fine. You will have energy of your own. But this idea that people are starting with like a sugar bomb that also has caffeine, and then what is that doing to the gut? I know you mentioned earlier that sugar will cause you to like rise and crash, and none of that's particularly good for you. But what is it doing to the gut if you're drinking these drinks every morning?
Well, it's amazing that you're saying that because our gut, like, it just thrives through fiber, probiotics, prebiotics. So you are feeding bacteria in your intestines, really, and that's where you absorb all the food. But imagine that, like you're saying, you're just drinking like a milkshake, like a 300 or 600 calories in the morning with an empty stomach. There's no protein, there's no fiber to at least balance that blood sugar. That's like a bomb into your gut, a bomb into your stomach. All the sugar kills our bacteria, really. Like, it just feeds the bad bacteria, which causes inflammation, sickness, stress, and sugar is going to kill the good bacteria. I tell my kids, like, the good soldiers that are fighting in your gut for you to be strong and healthy and have a strong immune system and being in a happy mood, those bacteria are going to get killed every time you drink like a sugary drink or eat, like, processed foods. Really, like any food that you have, they have ingredients, like you're saying, this brand of coffee, it has so many ingredients. If it would be coffee, like just reading the label coffee, okay, that's fine, we can work with that. But just having a drink that has a million ingredients, which from half you don't even understand what it is, your body doesn't even know how to process that, how to digest that. So you're actually just increasing inflammation, you are killing your gut bacteria, your microbiome, and you are just, sadly, you are signing to turn on that switch of whatever genetic predisposition you have.
That is amazing. And I think so poignant for this moment when we really do see this as just a very common behavior. It's Instagrammable. Everyone's got their cute Starbucks cup or whatever, and it's almost like a status symbol of today. Especially in the fall, pumpkin spice lattes and all the things. And it's fun, but it's almost like, could we not just do that in moderation or occasionally? And recognize it for the dessert that it is, and maybe precede it with some protein and things like that. So I know that we're going to be nearing our time. I really want to ask you, look, you are a busy, well-regarded nutritionist. You educate, you speak on stage, you are an entrepreneur yourself. You are a highly productive woman in this, incredible career. And I know you teach people about healthy habits, and this was sort of a mainstay of what you were saying earlier, is that you're not giving rules, but you're educating what are those healthy habits. So can you share with our audience yourself, as this busy entrepreneur with, potential autoimmune conditions and predispositions in your family, what are your non-negotiables? What are you doing every day to do this highly, high performance career and take amazing care from this holistic perspective of your body? What are the non-negotiables of, behavior or physical movement? What are the non-negotiables of like that nutrition, and how are you balancing all those things?
Yes, I love this. I love talking about myself, so here I go. For
It's a
me,
requirement
again,
for the podcast.
so for me, it's
Yeah.
like, it's not even negotiables. It's who I am. And for example, since I wake up in the morning, like the first thing I do is being grateful, because your brain, just the neuroplasticity in your brain changes when you're grateful. And just for me, like, to wake up to see there's so many people in this world that they're unfortunate and they are going through many challenges. And even though, yes, I have my challenges, of course I have, like, my life is not perfect, but I can wake up and say, thank you for my body. Thank you for having an amazing house. Thank you for having an amazing family. and it looks for different for everyone. So that's the first thing in the morning that I do. And I wash my face with really cold water because I'm not a morning person. I'm not perfect, but I need to get up. I need to wake up. So I wash my body and my face with cold water and water. That's a non-negotiable. So every day I try to drink at least 2 liters of water, 2 to 3 liters of water, and I exercise. Again, it's not a non-negotiable. It's who I am. I do a challenge with my husband since September. We do a 5K challenge. So every day I do 5K, regardless of the weather, regardless if you're feeling tired, regardless of the time of the day, every day 5K. On top of
Wow.
that, I do bar, which I love. It's my passion. I love it. So again, I don't see my life as non-negotiables. It's just like who I became, who I am, and nutrition is so important for me. I read everything that I eat. I try to make everything myself, to eat myself, and I just think about it. Like, and obviously, I eat out. I obviously drink wine with my friends, and obviously, I have fun and pizza with my kids sometimes, and ice cream. But everything that I eat, I slow down and I ask myself, is this something that I need to eat right now? Is this going to support my body right now? And it can be eggs, it can be a salad. It doesn't matter what I'm eating. Again, just being aware of that relationship or talking to that meal and to myself, is this what I need right now? Because I feel like, as I was saying, like I teach companies and I teach on stages and teams how to create healthy habits. And I think the first thing is, and you need to know where you're standing. And you mentioned before, it's funny about like Instagram, and we all have our gurus, right? Like the fitness guru on Instagram, the nutrition guru on Instagram, the money maker, like who makes like $3 billion and you want to be them. We all have that. But sadly, we compare ourselves too much and we lose ourselves in between. So yes,
Yes.
everyone has an insight and everyone has something smart to tell you and to teach you, but really it begins with you knowing where you are, knowing what aligns with you, what you really need at that moment with nutrition, with food, with exercise, with your profession, in anything. So for me, it's just connecting to my body and say, okay, what do I need right now? I need 5 minutes. Okay, I'll take 5 minutes. I usually in the morning open my back door. I look outside, I breathe, and I say, okay, there's quiet. Thank you, God, for quietness. Thank you that I can think. Thank you that I can breathe. Thank you that I am here. So every single step and every single thing that you do, just to be aware of you doing it. Why are you doing it? Why? What is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Where do you want to be? And where you're at right now? And what are the small changes that you can start doing for you to improve, to be better than yesterday? But for yourself, you are your biggest competitor. There's no other competitors around. It's only you. And you have to be better yourself. You have to move forward. There's no other way. There's no backwards. There's no sideways. It's forward. And yeah, that's my motto is, it's only the beginning. I've been saying this since I moved to Vancouver, Canada 15 years ago. I used to tell my husband, it's only the beginning. And I love this because it doesn't matter where you are in your journey. If it's the actual beginning, it's only the beginning. Or if you're struggling, you just think it's only the beginning. Everything's going to get better from here. So it's only the beginning for me. And yeah.
I love that. Yeah, so many good things there. Just knowing where you're standing, recognizing, knowing who you are, where you're at. When you mentioned, you are your only competitor, I think of a common saying, comparison is the thief of joy. If we're looking at all those Instagram lives, we're going to turn negative on ourselves, giving ourselves space from that kind of environment, or at least just remaining and knowing who we are inside of it. We may have jobs that require us to interact with social media. We may really enjoy interacting with some of our family, close family and friends on social media. But just being able to, like you say, know who you are and where you're at. I also really loved what you said, just making one small change today be at the beginning of this inquiry about your health, about what you eat, about what you do. And I think that, that thoughtfulness around sitting in front of a meal and going, do I really need this? Like what fuel is this for my body? Like what in this moment, what is my body asking me for? Because it's quite true that you could just grab something by habit, run by the nearest, burger place by habit. But in fact, is that really what you're craving? Does that really what is going to make you feel good? Is that really what your body wants in that moment? Or are you going to end up, like you said, feeling bloated or somehow lacking energy or not really feeling great after that meal because maybe it has a bunch of carbs or something that doesn't really work for your body in that moment? And it reminds me of what you said earlier, chew your food 32 times. I used to think it was like 24 or something like that. I know that if you're eating leafy greens, if you really chew your food, you'll get so much more value nutritionally out of that food that you could not otherwise get if you did not like crush those little plant walls, with your teeth. So that's interesting. It also makes me think like the gratitude, that's huge. The fact that your neurology can literally like look outside and be grateful for something and it can change your whole mindset for your day. I can imagine that's going to be a way better way to start your day than, rushing around and, stressing about all the stuff you have to do that you didn't get done yesterday. Cause that moment is going to come no matter what. But why not wake up 10 minutes earlier to be able to do, like you said, stick your head outside, breathe fresh air, feel grateful. Because yes, these are first world problems. A lot of the things that people are struggling with around the world are problems many of us hopefully will not face, or very, very little in our lives. So we get the pleasure to live where we do. And I know in your case and mine, very beautiful places at that. Well, I really want to appreciate you for your time today. It has been a huge honor. I can see your wisdom is so abundant. Can you tell our audience, how can they maybe, find you, be able to connect with you, learn from you, or maybe even see you speak?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun. I love talking about health nutrition. This is my why. And they can follow me on Instagram. I try to post, not for you to compare, but for you to learn, to get motivated. All my talks, all my wellness talks that I give to companies, to teams, to small groups of people, I try to do a lot of motivation with education. So I try to put and post a lot of, like videos and educational videos on my Instagram. So feel free to follow me. And also you can send me a message. I'm happy to do a talk for your company, for your team, for a group of friends if you want to. And right now, I don't have any talks this month, but I'm working on for the summer in a few talks, and I'm also launching my own smoothie line for this summer. So I'll just keep all of you posted
Fantastic.
on my. Yes. So it's like the first thing in the
Yes.
morning, instead of that sugary drink, something that is actually going to nourish you and improve your energy and help you. So yeah, I'll keep all of you posted on my social media. So feel free to follow me and message me, please. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help you, guide you through messages. And yes, thank you so much for having me, Heather.
I'm so grateful, Margot. This has been phenomenal. And we really appreciate you. Audience, remember to stay tuned so that we can go through the recap of this incredible episode. And don't forget to log in to the website so that you can get the episode guide with thought-provoking questions that will help you journal and be able to learn from this episode and work on applying it in your own lives and careers. Stay tuned for one moment. Well, folks, that's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on Women Who Rise, the Success Podcast for Ambitious Women. Today, Margot taught us number one, stress affects digestion and stress hormones, and the body in fight or flight cannot absorb nutrition. So she talked about, your body can't distinguish between actually being chased by a lion or having stress about a phone call you just had or tasks that you're supposed to be doing or rushing out around doing errands. It can't tell the difference. It will give you all these stress hormones. And she said, when you have these stress hormones, all of the blood and energy of the body will go to your extremities to give you that burst of energy so that you can run or fight a lion. But in fact, if you are eating a meal, there's no energy given to that digestive system. It means you could eat a wonderful, protein or nutrition, but your body can't absorb any of it. So you can wonder, how come I eat so well, but I seem to have, low protein in my blood or whatever that is, can't build more muscle or something. It might be very well because you're rushing around. She said, take time. Sit, be mindful, be slow and breathe a little bit. I think maybe we have so many entrepreneurial types of ways of behaving these days. And I think entrepreneurs really forget to give themselves a 15-minute break every 4 hours and, 1 hour, half hour lunch break once a day. We forget that we should have these very simple things built into our schedule. And we should make them regular, even if our schedule is not, or at least make those things exist and give yourself 10 minutes to just sit down, unplug for a minute. And like she said, breathe, eat your food, chew more meaningfully, and be able to take in at least the nutrition from your food. Next, she talked about the body is like the IRS or tax authority. She said that it will keep the score, basically, of all of your behaviors and habits over your lifetime. And it will eventually take out that tax and it will charge you. So really take care of your body. It's the only one you have. You have just one. And it really matters at any age how you choose to treat it. It is the vehicle for all of your brilliance and all of your ideas and all of your amazingness. Treat it as the vessel that it is, which is, the house or housing for everything, all of your dreams and goals and thoughts and things that you want to create or do in your life now and into the future. And just think about, maybe you're not feeling the effects of poor sleep or whatever in your 20s or 30s, but eventually she said the body will take out that tax. And you might develop, some sort of condition in the future that was related to behaviors that you did in the past. So, moving forward, like she said, just what can you do today that's a little bit better than maybe the day before? Can you give yourself a little break when you eat your snack? Can you take a healthier snack with you? Whatever that is. And then she talked about DNA. She has autoimmune conditions in her family history, MS, fibromyalgia, and things like this, or endometriosis and things like this. But she talked about, you in fact control the on and off switch for these DNA predispositions. So they're not really predetermined, but they are predispositioned. And they have an on and off switch. And the on and off switch is very deeply entwined with how you treat your body as a whole, how you get your nutrition, how you care for yourself. She talked about the fact that inflammation or autoinflammatory or autoimmune diseases are totally tied to inflammation, very closely tied to that. And inflammation starts in the gut. So she talked about, being mindful about what you take in, avoiding sugar. She said that sugar, in fact, totally kills the healthy bacteria in the gut, and that, in fact, it feeds the bad bacteria in the gut. And so this is so critical to the whole body balance and being able to lower your body's inflammation so that it can do its job and stay a fine-tuned machine. She also mentioned that, if you are taking in sugar, in fact, she even said if you're not sleeping decently, that within a week or so of 4 hours a night sleep or something like this, people will become pre-diabetic on their blood test within 7 days of sleeping very poorly every single night, because there are a lot of things that will take effect, and your body is simply unable to take down those inflammatory things and be able to balance your blood sugar. So how you eat, how you sleep, these things are important. So she did talk about have a village. So some of the habits that I asked her to share with us, she said, have a village, have people around you who care for you and care about you, enjoy spending time with them. She talked about doing things like drinking in moderation, do it with people that you enjoy, do it, periodically. Don't be doing it a couple times a week. Don't be doing it alone. Don't be using it as some sort of balm or fix, because it's not. She talked about how it is, in fact, very disruptive to the body's overall systems, including sleep, the healthy gut, all of those things. And so instead, just really think about that. She also talked about, again, getting that 6 to 8 hours of sleep or not, of sleep per night. That is non-negotiable. Get outside daily and just breathe. So she said, just breathe some fresh air, look at the trees, just get around nature or water in any way at all. She said the ions that come from nature are just absolutely beneficial to you. You don't even have to notice them to be able to benefit from them, but they are just absolutely beneficial. And then she also said, be grateful. So she starts every day just thanking the world for a number of things. Maybe thanking the world for the house she has, the body she has, the health she has, the family she has, whatever it is. But starting every day with some gratitude, affirmations of gratitude is something that is for her non-negotiable. She also mentioned eat a rainbow. So basically getting plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables in your life. And then protein and fiber, yes. And of course, the fruits and vegetables are great fiber. And then she said for water for herself, she tries certainly to drink 2 liters of water a day, up to 3 liters of water a day, just water. She mentioned coffee is okay if it literally is just coffee, but oftentimes it's a lot of other things thrown in. And if you're eating that on an empty stomach, you may not be doing a real favor to your gut. So she mentioned, just start with some fresh water, eat some protein in the first part of your day, maybe get some fiber in there, some things that, that your body will like. And then lastly, she said, know who you are. You can follow all these gurus online, but ultimately know who you are, and why you want certain things and what you want for yourself. So just really think about that and be grounded in yourself. And I thought that was just really memorable wisdom from Margot. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Visit our website to find our episode guide and the worksheet that will help you use these tips to take action in your own life. Please like and subscribe and join us everywhere podcasts are streamed. We can't wait to bring you more incredible content every week so that you can rise in your own lives and careers. Again, thank you so much. Heather Mansy, signing off.